I'm resident of Collinwood, Joel Saints, joined by my buddy Patrick McCray, author of the Dark Shadows Daybook and Dark Shadows Daybook Unbound, and joined by my buddy Gordon Dymowski. We're here to discuss Dark Shadows episodes 919, 920, 921. Really good episode, guys. I did you guys notice that in this episode and in 913 that when they're showing the doll Charles Delaware Tate or
The
so that
real doll. The real doll.
right
What
so
called it.
right so they're gonna call it that his right hand never moves.
Oh, his right hand doesn't need to move as long as the real doll is there.
No, I know that. I just found it weird.
Well, I think I'm wondering if the effect was that because that somehow Tate had used magic or something where the doll only had one moving hand to like convince you it was alive.
Yeah, that could be. What did
But
you
but
like?
but it did remind me that I believe at the time one of the pieces of merchandise was the Charles Delaware Tate doll with Kung Fu grip. So it might have been a subtle ad.
What did you guys think of David Selby, who he can't remember that he's Quentin? Grant Douglas, I think, is what his name
David
is.
Selby remembers not remembering Quentin's lines better than many actors on the show remember the lines they were supposed to give. Think about that.
That's
He's better
something.
at amnesia than certain actors were with the lines that were written for them. So David Selby had to be destroyed. They had to hire a hit squad after him. Jewel, don't wait for the translation. Answer me now.
I did not. What's that?
Nothing. It's just something my uncle said. My uncle Nicky K.
What did you guys think of the opening of this episode where okay, we have Quentin, we have Don Briscoe's character, Chris Jennings. They're talking to Charles Delaware Tate, the doll, as they're gonna say it. This more looks like a robot than a doll.
Oh, with a real doll, the line is becoming very blurred.
Yeah.
I thought it was magnificently realistic. I think it was eerie. What did you think?
Gordon?
I thought it worked very well. I think it's whether we call it a doll or a robot or whatever. I think it's I call it a homunculus just for the hell of it.
Kill it.
and
the real homunculus. They called it that.
Yeah, and that reminds me that I have to see a podiatrist because I have a huge homunculus on the bottom of my foot that I need removed. So,
well, there was Shaft and the Honky Homunculus, which was a Ray Harryhausen project that never got off the ground. Don Saxon was the homunculus as planned.
I like how they made it. They made it look. It's a really great nod to Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I thought about that. Yeah. And that's all. That's as far as I got.
Well, Grant Douglas, aka Quentin, says to Chris Jennings, he goes, "I thought you said he was old," and then that's when Charles, the robot or whatever doll, Charles Delaware Tate, starts talking, and but he scares Quentin out, and then, but before he does, Quentin throws water at him. It breaks the doll. And the head comes off. It's just, and then
Shadows episode.
Yeah, and Chris Jennings goes and he hears like weeping, and he pulls back the curtain, and there's the old man. There's Charles Delaware Tate. I gotta say, looked really creepy and sounded really creepy for an old man.
Mm-hmm.
It was very Deadly Years, you know. I think TV had finally gotten down aging its lead characters to perfection.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys think of Michael Maitland in this episode?
You know, it's weird because you can see him become a better actor in the course of his first scene.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? His first line readings in the scene were pretty lousy. By the end of the scene, he's pretty good. Now, David sets a very distinct bar that requires a very distinct altitude to surmount. But somehow, Mr. Maitland found it. I mean, David J. we give him too much guff. I mean, you know, he was like 6 or something. He did fine.
Well, and I think with Michael Maitland, you can actually see his character actually become Jeb. The guy before him with the Barnabas and you know the kind of weepy. No, you just I mean you just smack him in the face. He runs away. He's not going to be the Leviathan King. But you can see Maitland. You can see the seeds of Jeb.
And he's
in Michael Maitland.
He's just old enough for Carolyn to be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He puts his hand out and says, as long as you'll be here. Yeah. Which is, I think, probably what David Ford said during the first read-through.
Yeah, Nancy Barrett does a really great job being creeped out by him, and she should be.
It doesn't take a lot of work.
No, it doesn't. I like the male, the Megan Todd's husband comes down the steps, and they're having this they're going to have this conversation about, we have to run our shop. That's our dream. Despite we know what we have to do for you, but
he says a hilarious line. He says something like, I know we're trying to bring about the destruction of the human race, but we've got a business to run at the same time.
Yeah.
We've got a cutter operation. We got to run Del Floria's tailor shop at some point.
We got to make that money, even if we're going to cause the destruction of man. What the hell?
Hey, if Bill Bixby can make it work with Brandon Cruz, we can make our dream happen. I mean, it's very much mocking the TV dad at that point. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, listen, only in TV does Philip Bernal become a father. In that era, I'm sure as a dad now he'd be wonderful. But we weren't living now then.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but you know what this episode could have used?
Yeah.
Keith Prentice.
Go ahead.
How? How?
I'm just saying.
I just want to hear how.
I had a handful of edibles, so I'm kind of out there tonight. So
you got an edibles complex.
Yes.
They could have used Keith Prentice for some shouting lines for sure.
We should have done I Remember Mama.
Here's the thing about this. What did you guys think of Chris Jennings making Charles Delaware Tate? He is like, paint my portrait, and you got there's going to be a full moon tonight, so Charles Delaware Tate's on a time limit.
He says, you better hurry up and do this. You're not going to like you won't like me when I'm angry, Mr. McGee.
He should have just gone to Sears. They could have given a portrait, maybe some 5x8s for like a few bucks. I think that would have. Yeah, it did seem like, you can understand that why Tate was saying, hey, look, no, it's not going to work that way. One, he's an artist, and you never rush an artist. But the other thing is that by this point, whatever magic Tate had, I think it just went into that the doll robot homunculus thing. Because you'd think that if you have the ability to paint someone immortal, Tate would have painted himself so that the portrait aged and he didn't.
I think that's what the Tate Bot 9000 was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't work.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just went into sculpting, kind of like, okay, good artists are multimedia.
It's true.
I know someone who is a musician, a writer, a designer, and a belly dancer. So, hey, it happens.
Here's something got left out of Jeff Rice's story. Janos Skorzeny did all those things.
Yep, and he was a fry cook.
The one thing I noticed too is I think that with Charles Delaware Tate, we never see him painting his portrait. I think he realized that he couldn't, because he says, I can't do that anymore. That magic it's gone. It was long ago. He doesn't say Patofe, but he's letting him know, like, yeah, I can't do that no more. It won't work. I mean, I could paint your portrait, but what you want to happen is it won't work.
Mm-hmm.
But
and it doesn't.
Yeah, no, you're right. It absolutely does not. Trying to think. It's really crazy. What did you guys think of? I know Jim Bennett's in this episode too, I believe.
I thought, it was. We know where Jason Statham got his moves.
Yes.
Oh my god! What did you guys think of the antique shop set?
I thought it was a really good, nicely cobbled together set. I mean, it looked like what you would expect a small town antique shop to look like, which is basically a store filled with, old stuff. And I think at this point, I think they had, before Collinsport had been portrayed as like a fishing cannery, kind of a little bit more of a naval kind of a seaside town. I think they're trying to give it a little bit more character. I think it's just hard because so much of the show by this point had taken place either in the old house or Collinwood, that I think they were trying to make it make Collinsport a little bigger. But I think that mix of, the people on the hill and the common people, the set's not bad, but I think there's something lost in that by this point. And I'm not quite sure. And part of it may just be the fact that the Todds are both mostly Leviathan agents. They're not just regular people.
How to run an antique shop.
Right. They're not Bill Malloy. They're not Sam Evans. They're not even Harry Johnson.
No.
What did you think of the antique shop set, Patrick?
Well, I mean, it's perfectly serviceable. One of the things that I like about it is the sort of the staircase to nowhere.
Yeah.
That you can only get away with in TV. That there's a staircase in the foreground, which was a very sophisticated way to suggest the fourth wall. Because normally, that ascends as you move away from the viewer. In this case, he really brought it forward. That was a very sophisticated move on Cy Tomashev's part.
Yeah. I really like how the outside and the inside really fit together really well. Dark Shadows was always really good at taking their sets, whether it was the Blue Whale, whether it was the little antique shop. They have an outside, they go inside, and it seems to fit the outside exterior.
Mm-hmm.
Cy Thomas did a really great job just putting it together. And I love my favorite thing to happen outside the shop. Well, hey, Barnabas almost well, he does. He runs over Quentin. I mean, by God,
Those are good times.
10 points per pedestrian, I hear, in Collinsport. But because he didn't want this guy to date Carolyn. He didn't know who the guy was. That's not in this episode, but it's a fun little thing. Also,
It is.
I love how that in this episode where Michael Maitland's character tries to give Carolyn Megan Todd's like jewelry. Like,
Oh.
like really, dude?
Well, it wasn't going to be her diaphragm. I mean, what else was he going to give her? Not that she would have needed one with Philip.
Right.
Because
Well,
he'd have. Yes,
Maitland's Carolyn mentions David in this episode. Oh, I have a cousin your age, and she also mentions Amy as well.
He's trying to hook him up with David. What's going on in Collinsport? My God, Barnabas goes away for 9 months to 1897, and it's like the set to the Ritz when he gets back.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
There's an episode where Oberon and him are talking, and Oberon's talking about the Leviathan people. It's not this episode.
Who's him? Wait, who's him?
The Oberon,
No. Who's he talking to?
Barnabas.
Oberon and Barnabas walk into a bar. Okay, yeah, they're just talking. They pitching pennies.
Not walk into a bar. They're having a conversation.
Yeah, but they're having a conversation in a bar.
Oh my God. They're having a conversation.
It was across the street from the Blue Whale. And that's where the Charles Delaware Tate model used to be. Red Fox, Charles Delaware Tate, you big dummy. Continue.
Oh my God. They're having a conversation, and Oberon talks about the Leviathan people, how they waited and waited and waited. And it's really, really an interesting conversation. It's not in this episode, but it's definitely a good conversation. Now, in this episode, Michael Maitland's character, you get more impatience from his character, and that's when Megan Todd's husband says, "Be patient, don't rush it." And it's funny, Barnabas says the same thing to him. What's that?
Oh, nothing.
Barnabas says the same thing to him, and it's like, okay, so you have the adults telling the kid to be patient, and when the kid becomes an adult, he doesn't exactly grow that patience.
Yeah, but
full youth be patient.
Yeah, but and keep in mind, Joel, we're talking about a kid who's basically a god. This is not just, and he knows he's a god.
It's Snake Jesus, P.I.
Yeah, it's not like you can say, in his mind, it's I get to have what I want, and I want it now. And this is
Veruca Salt.
Yeah. And basically, within a few weeks, he becomes Jeb Hawks. I mean, like puberty for him is like 10 minutes in Collinsport time. So yes, he's impatient like another kid his age, but he's not just another kid. And I think that whole, because at one point, later on, he's like, "Oh, we don't need the box. We can just do this. Let's just improv. We'll do jazz hands and all that other stuff." And Chris Pinnock would have done jazz hands with Jeb Hawks. We know this, right?
Yeah, he would have loved it. He would have done them as any character. And done them magnificently. Now, here's the thing. It's interesting that we have a Veruca Salt reference because these are the last days of Violet Beauregard on the show. She is destined to always be the Violet Beauregard.
Yeah. Also, you have Quentin. Well, Grant Douglas, sorry, wandering through the woods after Charles Delaware Tate's, whatever you want to say, robot doll scares him out of there, and he's wondering because they mention Amanda Harris. The doll mentions Amanda Harris to him. He's wondering who Amanda Harris is.
Once you have a Charles Delaware Tate real doll, who is Amanda Harris anyway? Who needs her? Wait, the Uber Eats guy. Hello. Hi. Thank you. All right. Very good. Thank you very much. Uber Eats. Do we have to get him to sign an NDA? You need to put on this and the Uber Eats guy.
I'm going to go one better, Jewel. You need to get a sponsorship with Uber Eats. Unlimited Uber Eats for all of us.
Oh my God. Oh my
hey,
God.
Corporate sponsorship's a thing, man. You can turn this into a multimedia empire.
Oh my God. For the sake of recording, I will not say how my wife feels about Uber Eats. But anyway.
Okay.
Now, how your wife feels about it? She doesn't cry out Uber Eats in moments of tension, does she?
No, I won't talk about it. Anyway,
all you bring her is DoorDash.
Oh my God. Yeah, I love how he's trying to now remember Grant Douglas, aka Quentin, is trying to remember Amanda Harris. What did you guys think about that scene?
It was good. Joel, I gotta tell you, there are times when Dark Shadows just kind of runs together for me, and this was it. I love it, but was there such a scene? I just watched the episode and I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember an Amanda Harris scene either. I remember Quentin kind of running around being like all torn up, but
was it
Amanda Harris isn't with him. He's walking through the woods and Charles Delaware Tate mentions Amanda Harris to him, and after he runs out and he's walking through the woods and he's rubbing his head, he's like, "Who's Amanda Harris? Do I know her?" So he's wondering that, and when he goes back to the Charles Delaware Tate home, he hears screaming coming from inside.
And that's when he remembered, oh yeah, one of the loves of my life. I knew that sound was familiar. My wedding night.
Oh my God. What's you guys' favorite scene for this episode?
My head off.
Yeah, I mean,
that makes his own gravy, my friend.
Yeah, with a killer opening like that, it's like it's the other scenes have to fight to maintain some sense of dominance. But yeah, they come in, Quentin throws something, Tate's head rolls off, and then they do a close up of Roger Davis just lying perfectly still. I mean, it's beautiful.
I think that should have been accompanied by Just the Way You Look Tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Someday.
Do.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Well, Jewel, this is the show you said you wanted before we went on the air.
Yeah, Jewel, you have only yourself to blame for this.
I do like the head rolling off, but I don't know. I'm a sucker for the Michael Maitland stuff between him and Carolyn. I think that it really it sets the
universal Alita weirdness.
It plants the seed even stronger for Christopher Pennock's Jeb. You guys talked about you can see a lot of Jeb in him, and you can. So when you see Jeb Hawks, Christopher Pennock's character, you could see a lot of Michael Maitland in Jeb Hawks, which is nice.
Yeah, and you forget about the guy before with the Barnabas and the weird voice, where he sounds like a 3-year-old, even though he's like 5 or something.
Do you think the Leviathans are see? In a weird way, I think the Leviathans are taunting Barnabas about Adam doing that.
Sure.
Like, I mean, they seem to know everything about Barnabas. It's like, why not? Why shouldn't they know about Adam?
Read Tiger Beat.
But I'm trying to think. Another scene I really like too in this episode, obviously, is that it is the Delaware Tate stuff, but I like the doll aspect. The fact that they came up with the Wizard of Oz, get to use the Wizard of Oz, man behind the curtain is cool. This isn't the first time they use Wizard of Oz, but it's cool that they use it here too. So
They just feel used. They've just made him feel used. Thank you. You too. Here's an explanation. So Steak and Shake was taking so long. I didn't think they were going to do it because sometimes late at night, Uber Eats craps out. And they just say, too bad. So you got to get a backup. So now my Prime showed up. Continue. Blah, blah, blah. Michael Mason. Yeah, I agree.
So I don't have any more questions for you guys for this episode. Is there anything you want to add?
You have no idea how many questions I have.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions too.
Question number 1. What is this Earth love?
Oh my God.
Ramekin. But I don't know what.
Oh my God.
Putting eggs in a ramekin. Eggs in a Ramekin was the name of his hit novelty song that he had in 1958 with the Kentuckyman.
What are you guys doing Friday night?
More of this.
Well, here's the thing.
Yep. Ooh, you want to come over?
Well, here's the thing.
Dang.
Here's the thing. I have a podcast at 10:30. I'd like you both to come on with me and Butch. We are reviewing John Carpenter's Vampires.
Okay, sure. I guess Superman's not, because we're not good enough for Superman.
Yeah.
A Protestant to do that.
Yeah. We're not good enough for Superman Legacy, but John Carpenter's Vampires. Yeah, what the hell?
John Carpenter's Vampires. You say Superman, the greatest character in 20th century pop literature for Butch, and he deserves it. But we get like.
Yeah, but I'm sure Butch would have appreciated the. I didn't mean to interrupt, Patrick, but I'm sure Butch would have was probably thinking, you know what this podcast needs? Patrick and Gordon.
A couple of drunks, yeah.
You guys cut a promo on me here. It sounds like.
Oh, Jewel, of course, I would be happy to appear whenever you need me, or just don't need me, but we'll put up with me. Oh
my God, you guys are always welcome on my show. You guys know that.
All right.
Okay, so
after the fact, that's all right.
Look, I've done 2 Superman Legacy videos. I'm up for a third if you guys want to do one.
Yes, absolutely. When do we talk about Superman?
Okay, how's tomorrow night?
What do we need to know? What is the Superman Legacy business?
Well, the Superman Legacy is going to be the upcoming Superman movie for next year. There's going to be members of the Justice League in it. Metamorpho is one of them. That's all who's been confirmed so far. I don't know who the villain's going to be in it yet. And I'd like to get you guys' thoughts on who do you want to see as the villain, and who do you think will be the villain?
Well, I think the villain will be Zack Snyder.
Yeah, I think that's a given. That is a given.
Yeah. Henry Cavill's mustache. His big mustache.
Well,
Yeah, the VFX team behind that weird cameo thing in the Flash movie.
well, actually, I believe it's James Gunn doing this one.
Yes, James Gunn is doing Superman Legacy.
Yeah. So tomorrow night at I'll do 10:45 for you guys both.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a show, so now I can do whenever you want. What should I watch as my homework?
You could watch whatever you want from a Superman standpoint. I'm more just going to ask questions about what you want to see in the upcoming movie.
No, you have issued an invitation to Statler and Waldorf.
Yes.
Oh
my God! So, does that time work for you too, Gordon?
Yeah, tomorrow Superman Legacy tomorrow at 9:45 works for me.
And you guys are good for John Carpenter's Vampires, right? Too.
Right. And just for everyone watching, just remember, abandon all hope, all ye who enter. When you watch this tomorrow, you have been warned. This is probably not going to be. This is not going to be your typical Superman Legacy fancast. Oh no.
This is not your Rip Taylor's Superman.
A shout out to Uber Eats while we're here. Anyway,
we're not even going to talk about the musical version of Superman.
I have been betrayed by them so many times.
We're not talking about David Hasselhoff as Superman.
Oh, or Nicolas Cage, no.
Talking to William Daniels as Superman, which would be.
I'm surprised nobody ever thought of that before.
He would have made a great Perry White.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he would have. Yeah, he
great Peter's Ghost.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask that tomorrow. All right, guys. Is there anything you want to add about episode 919?
No, I just want to eat this burger.
Gordon.
No, nothing I can add.
All right. Links to the Dark Shadows Daybook on Val will be in the description box. Go pick that up. Links to Gordon Dymowski's Amazon page will be in the description box. I'll see you guys tomorrow night for Superman Legacy.
Good night, all.
Good night.